the theory of Alzheimer's that's still very prominent is that it's the accumulation of these things called plaques and tangles, which you can see under the microscope. And they've always been considered a signature that you can see with your eyes of neurodegeneration that's associated with Alzheimer's dementia. And it's been the way that people have measured whether or not a treatment has worked or not worked is whether or not it could decrease these plaques and tangles in mouse tissue and sometimes in human tissue. Now, we have to be clear that plaques and tangles do accumulate in the brains of people with Alzheimer's and mice that have mutations that make them kind of like good models for Alzheimer's. But early on in the research on Alzheimer's, so dating back well over a decade now, there was basically a data fraud, fudging of data, we call it, where someone essentially said that there was a label for a particular plaque or tangle protein that represented something that it didn't. And then what this has cascaded into over many, many years is an entire set of theories about which drugs ought to be beneficial for the treatment of Alzheimer's. And I would say now trillions of dollars put into research along those particular lines of inquiry. So what we're basically saying is one mistake can cascade into a series of thousands or tens of thousands of mistakes that can take a field really far astray. And that's what's happened now. They realized that there was a problem with the early data. Now, the thing that's kind of baffling is how the field continued down this path for so long without actually considering alternative hypotheses with any seriousness. Why somebody didn't say, hey, let's go back and test the initial premise of all of this. And part of that has to do with biotech is neither good nor bad nor evil nor anything. But it's a business. And there's a pretty quick runway from a big landmark discovery to a couple of verifications, to people founding companies, to big dollars coming in through investments. Yes. And then, how many times have we been told blockbuster finding in mice, and then people with Alzheimer's say, well, when is there going to be treatment? 10 years. How long? About 10 years. This 10 years thing has been kicked down the road about for 50 years. I've been in the research game 30 years, close to it, and so many things have just been kicked down the road. Now, there are kind of maverick folks within science who test very alternative hypotheses. And they are really the heroes of science, in my opinion, because they're saying that's all fine and good, or maybe it's all false. I don't know. I'm going to go a different direction and explore. But in the sociology of science and science funding, it is very, very hard to impossible to get funding from the federal government to do truly high-risk pioneering science.